100 days until Election Day 2022, so a little status check time. Kim Reynolds, 5 years as governor so far, running for another term. A Republican insider shares why polls show her so far ahead, while a Democratic insider shows where Democrats see some hope for their candidate. And Chuck Grassley's hoping to win another Senate term that could keep him in office until he's 95 years old. Our insiders look at why polls for his re-election race are much closer now than they were when he ran for re-election last time. And who is Oprah in Iowa for 2022? In other words, which VIP visitor could help an Iowa candidate most for this November?
From your local election headquarters, this is The Insiders with Dave Price.
Some recent polls show that Governor Kim Reynolds has a much bigger lead this summer compared to her Election Day win back in 2018. But Senator Chuck Grassley has a much smaller lead than his Election Day win back in 2016. So what's happening? Let's look at two recent polls here. The Des Moines Register Mediacom Iowa poll, when it comes to the race for governor, shows Kim Reynolds up 17 points over the Democratic challenger Deidre DeJear. Now remember, back in 2018, Reynolds beat her Democratic challenger Fred Hubbell by 2.8%. So her poll margin now much larger than her election victory margin 4 years ago. Now there's a second poll we want to look at. It's from Iowans for Tax Relief Commission. This one came out this month also. Now, unlike the Iowa poll that also included Libertarian Rick Stewart in it, in that poll where he got 5%, this one just has the head-to-head with Reynolds and DeJear. And you can see in this case, 55.5 Reynolds, 41.1% for DeJear. So both polls here showing Reynolds up double digits.
The results were similar between the two, some differences, but mostly within what you consider a margin of error. And it's very clear, whether you look at the governor's race or the generic ballot, is that there's a very clear, it's clearly established that Republicans generically are up double digits in Iowa, and the governor is up 15 plus points and well on our way to a very solid re-election win. And it looks very possible that the already wide Republican majorities in the Iowa House and the Iowa Senate may actually grow this fall.
All right, so you're helping both DeJear and Franken.
Right.
You look at these polls, start with the governor's race. What do you see in there?
Well, obviously, you know, you don't want to see us 15 points down in a poll, but what we do know is, like, Deidre isn't well known in the state, and that's in the next 100 days. We still have 100 days left. We need to get her better known. She's doing a lot of events across the state. They're being very well received. So, you know, hopefully we can get conversations with voters going, more information out to voters, and they can have a choice.
All right, Governor Reynolds has about 10 times as much money in the bank as DeJear. So how does DeJear get better known without the money?
Well, I mean, you know, she will have more money, but obviously the governor is a sitting governor who has a lot of money, who has very rich friends, who has a lot of corporate interests, who has a lot of national interests come in and fund her campaign. So Deidre doesn't necessarily have all of those things, but there is a lot of messaging and information we're getting out to voters. So hopefully, you know, at the end of the day, when voters start voting 20 days out, you know, they will have the opportunity to make that decision.
Okay, so your organization worked a lot the last couple of years to get this tax cut deal through, right? So with that now done, does the governor do more campaigning on what she did versus what's next? I mean, the tax cut thing was always the huge thing for down the road, right? Well, now it's done.
Yeah, well, I think it's both. I think that obviously that tax bill that was done last year, which was the series of 5 years worth of work, was a landmark generational bill, and she should proudly proclaim her role in getting that done.
You should retire, right?
Well, got a few more years left, but at the same time, I think campaigning on that success also shows Iowans the direction that she wants to take the state of Iowa, which is continuing to pursue fiscally conservative policies, limiting the size and scope of government, staying out of folks' pockets and off their back. And so I think you can use that, she can use the success of that bill to show the kinds of policies that she's going to continue to shepherd through and get done for Iowans.
But you served at the State House before your current role here. What's the difference between Terry Branstad as governor and Kim Reynolds?
You know, they're both similar in many ways. They're both high energy, They love being on the campaign trail. They've always got time for you and all of that. You know, Governor Reynolds has been very, very bold in some of these things that she's done, things that, and I don't want to rank them in any way, but the circumstances and the times at which, you know, Governor Reynolds came in during a Republican trifecta afforded her the opportunity to do some tremendous landmark generational
just because she had the numbers there.
Right. You know, the years that I was sitting in the room with Governor Branstad, except for the last year, that was divided government, and that is an entirely different idea. And so, at least from my perspective, just having both the House and the Senate in wide Republican margins just created an issue set that was different than the ones that we had with Governor Branstad.
Reynolds did something that Branstad never did, in that she was out there actively campaigning to purge some of the members that did not follow her when it came to school matters and whether the tax dollars should go to help more kids go to private school. That's something Branstad never did. How would you have handled that if you were a leader in the House and she was working to knock out some of your members?
Well, a whole lot of things. Hopefully you'd have found a way to get a bill done for the governor and get her a win so that you don't get to that point. But you can't force someone to take a vote, right? They're where they're at, and that's the thing. I think some folks believe that a legislative leader just takes someone to the back office, twists their arm, and they vote. It doesn't work that way. But, you know, at some point, you know, she's the governor of the state of Iowa, and she gets to make these calls, and she certainly outranks any legislative leader, as it were. And so, you know, she decided to flex some muscle on that, and at some point, that's between that individual legislator and the governor.
What was the hardest vote you had to ever help get through?
Probably two come to mind that were really heavy lifts. One was the collective bargaining bill that we did in 2017. That was just always going to be difficult. And then also the judicial nominating reforms that we did.
And 17 was the first year of
That was
your
the first
trifecta?
year of the trifecta, and then I believe the judicial nominating reform bill was in 19. And that's because we only had 53 members in the Iowa House, so we were on tight margins anyway. But we were able to get a somewhat scaled down version of that bill done, but which dovetails into just today, the governor announced another new pick for the Iowa Supreme Court, and Justice David May, who will be a tremendous member of the Iowa Supreme Court.
Okay, difference between Reynolds and Branstad to you as the Democrat here is what?
Well, it's very interesting because I think, you know, as a first woman governor, she had the opportunity to be sort of a non-partisan person, and she's actually turned into probably someone who's even more partisan than Terry Branstad in terms of trying to sort of push through right extreme policies. I'm not talking about the tax bill. I'm talking about things like, you know, the unpopular privatization of education. Obviously, it's very unpopular. It was unpopular with the whole party. She couldn't get the bill through. If it was popular with her party, if it was popular with her rural constituents, she would have got that through. She sort of tags right every time she can. I think that's surprising in a way because I think Iowans sort of like the middle, the center. They like to see, even if you're right or left, to sort of work together in places, and probably Terry Branstad was forced to do that because of the situation where he didn't have both legislative branches, but she doesn't have to do that, and so she doesn't do it. And in fact, she probably goes further to the right than actual Iowans are.
When you look at the head-to-head polls, you look at her favorability, though. As you dig into those, what in there, why shouldn't she be the favorite? Why does it not look like she's just going to win this thing? Like, where's the optimism for Democrats in this?
I mean, I think the two things right now are freedom of choice, and for women, you know, they're seeing what Republicans are doing when they're tearing down the ability to make decisions on you know, contraceptives and abortion and those sort of issues, and then the education issue is not popular at all. And you see with the string of Des Moines Register polls coming out, I mean, what shows you is 60% of the people support abortion in the state. You know, the choice program for education is very low with Iowans, and people want their education and want their schools to be number one again. They want public schools to be strong, and that's the opposite of what she's doing.
How do you view the state right now versus back maybe earlier in your career at the State House when it wasn't so red? Why is it redder now? Why have Republicans had more success now than they did decade back?
There's certainly, from the time I was elected in 2008, in the middle of Democrats holding that trifecta and holding 7 liberal justices on the Iowa Supreme Court and everything went with that. And it was a steady march to move that needle all the way to the other side. I think there's been a realignment in American politics.
Was there like an issue that helped drive you, guide you? What?
I think there were several. I think, going through the Culver years and seeing some of the fiscal challenges the state had, and that sort of galvanized our caucus, in the Iowa House at the time, to hold the line on spending, things like that continue to reverberate through the years like that. And so clearly the state fundamentally has become much more Republican. The election results and polling bears that out, but it's not by accident. Digging deeper into some of these polling numbers, is these issues are actually favored by a majority of Iowans. They approve of the job that Kim Reynolds is doing. They approve of a tax bill. Our polling showing that her school choice proposal has a net favorable rating still among Iowans. And ironically, I found it very interesting that actually polled better among minority voters than it did among Iowa's white population. And so there's these reforms that are actually working to improve the lives of Iowans, and that's bearing out in the way they vote. And so from a conservative standpoint, it's the best of times, and we're just enthused about what the future might hold.
Coming up next, Grassley versus Franken, why the polls show this race is closer than that governor's race.